Hey guys, and welcome back once again to the WT Farm Girl channel. Welcome to our first generation family farm. Now, in today's episode, we are finally breaking in to our first cutting hay 2021. This whole point from here on forward is going to be quite the roller coaster ride, so buckle up and get ready. We are now entering story mode. We're diving into our first cutting. Are my equipment repairs going to work? Is equipment gonna fail? Do I have to go back to square one? So I'm so excited to bring you guys along. If you are not subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking that bell and click all notifications. And if you enjoyed this video footage and Eric's drone footage, give this video a thumbs up and be sure to let Eric know in the comments down below how much you enjoy his drone footage.
After a long week of working on hay equipment and trying to get everything operational, and after a long day of finishing work on the hay cutter, it's finally time to hit the fields. Now, throughout all of winter and all of spring, we received very, very little precipitation in the form of snow or rain. The hay seed that I put down, the manure that I put down, even the fertilizer that I put down did not have a chance to soak into the earth to help our first cutting hay crop. We waited, we watched, but it just didn't grow. The temperatures jumped wildly from 35 degrees at night all the way up to 85, 90 degrees during the day. The grass just didn't know what to do. Half of it died off. I was faced with a tough decision. Do I wait a couple more weeks and see if maybe the grass will wake up and start growing? Or do I go ahead and cut it now on time and pray and hope that we get rain and that maybe, just maybe, I can get a really nice early second cut? I take a deep breath and I make the call. We're cutting now. There's a window. I'm going to get it done, and then we'll just wait and see. To help pad our hay crop for our hay customers, we decide to let the front yard and the front horse pasture grow out into hay. It won't give us much, but 50 bales are better than 0 bales. This front area is probably about 2 acres, give or take. It's not much, like I said, but it'll add up, hopefully. When the hay is this thin and this sad looking for your first cut, it really makes you question why on earth you're doing it. First cutting hay for us is always our biggest crop. Last year, we got 1,000 bales off just under 20 acres for our first cutting. This year, we'll be lucky to get half of that. On the upside, at least there's no rain in the forecast to have to worry about, and the grass is definitely too short for the turkeys to nest in. Now I know you're already wondering why the hay bind isn't quite cranked out far enough. You're right, it's not. This is a hand crank hay bind, and it is a beast to push it out and to pull it in. And really, it's hard to tell exactly where it's at until you start pulling it and cutting it a couple feet. Then you really see where the track is at. Then you have to jump back out, readjust it, and jump back in the tractor. I guess if there was one thing I would change, it would be some sort of ram-driven adjustment so I didn't have to keep jumping in and out. I'm also glad that I decided to start planting the teff field this season too. I haven't gotten around to it just yet. I gotta get this hay done first, but I'll get there. Now, our hay customers have diabetic horses, which means their horses have to have limited amounts of sugar. Most hay grasses grown these days are geared towards cattle, so they tend to have high sugar in them to fatten up the cows. A fat horse, well, that's just no good for anybody. So for us, being a smaller hay producer, we're able to tap into that niche and really focus on growing low sugar grass. To help keep the grass low sugar, I'm cutting in the evening. Daytime cutting seems to really lock in that sugar, and our hay customers just can't buy it. It looks like there are a lot of wild grasses growing in, and even as thick as this field was originally, even this field has a lot of loss. Now, the orchard grass, I have 2 different varieties planted. One of the varieties did not make it, and I think I know which one. I'm not fond of cutting either of these 2 fields because they are so tight to have to work with. But again, when you're limited on space on your property, you kind of cut what you can. And then it's down the road to the back hay field. And of course, I tried to take the shortcut by not having to crank that hay bine all the way in just to go down the road and then crank it all the way back out again. So I tried to crank it halfway and cross my fingers. It obviously didn't work too well. For those of you who don't cut hay or who maybe cut with different equipment, this is an offset hay bine, which means it sits off to my right-hand side. It doesn't change. It always sits there. So the first pass around the field I have to make reverse-wise, which means I have to drive over my hay grass. That will allow me to then turn around and go back the opposite direction, which would be clockwise around the field, so that I'm driving over what I already cut. You know, because when you're driving over grass that you haven't cut, it makes it a little harder to cut later on. This field right here is roughly 8 acres. We had always assumed it was 10, but then we used a program to measure it and found out it's only 8. That's a little disappointing. And then the last field on the far end, that's about 5 acres. It's still struggling to grow grass. Because it's always wet, usually when I'm fertilizing or putting down hay grass seed, it's still pretty wet and I can't get back there. So subsequently, it just doesn't get the attention the other ones do. I spend all evening cutting, all the way up until 10 o'clock, when the dew finally starts to come up out of the ground. I've gotten most of the field done. There's just a little bit left, and I can get that in the morning.
All right, so we got Puppers out here with me today. She got all excited when she saw the tractor. She had to run right over. So we had a major frost last night, which is why I tried to get so much of this cut last night. You can see it's really wet. My boots are soaked. But I gotta get this hay cut. so we can get it off the field before the first rains come again. So, are you ready to go? Oh, yeah, I'll open the door. Hold on. Hold on. Yes, we're gonna go. Aww. Mom's gotta lift you up there. You're too little to get up there. I know. You'll go ahead and wait for Mom. Don't fall out the back end. There you go. There you go. Okay, I got my coffee. I know. Are you ready to do some tractor work today? Okay, we'll go. It's not very often that I work all day on the cutter and then hit the field rolling. So I am just up at 5 a.m. to do it all again. Putting pupper. Oh, you're so cute. So it's 8 o'clock in the morning. We're gonna finish this up before the sun hits high and makes the sugar go high in the grass. Again, this is horse hay, and one of our key benefits with what we grow is that it's gonna be low sugar, which a lot of horse owners absolutely need, because a lot of horses these days are diabetic, kind of like people. It's kind of the same melody. So we grow diabetic friendly horse hay. What a good girl. You also got little poppers? Oh yes. They're the pretty little poppers. This last field obviously is going to take longer to dry. It's a full 24 hours behind the first field I cut yesterday, which, by the way, that first field is probably about 75 to 80% dry already. 85% dry. That is crazy. And it's only been 24 hours. We had a huge heavy frost last night. The grass got soaked. Today wasn't windy. It wasn't hot. It was just just a general clear sky, 70 degrees. So it's just mind-boggling that it dried that fast. But anyway, what I want to show you is a massive difference in the grass. I don't know if you can see the difference. So you've got flat, 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 clump, 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 flat, flat, flat. Obviously, this means the grass is especially thick right here. Now, if you look at this area, it's not like this is the lowest point. Actually, where I'm standing, this is probably the lowest point. So you might be wondering, why is this one particular area so much thicker and darker and obviously grassier? Because this is all grass, this isn't weeds. But right here, you can see in this one particular area, way back when we were first prepping this field, it was covered in bushes. Every single hay field we had to clear them out. So Eric decided to pile everything up in one big pile and light it on fire. And right here is where we did that big burn. And all it was just bushes. I actually did do a soil sample between this and the other area of the field. And I don't remember what the difference was, but there was a difference, and it was not the pH, which is what I assumed. I assumed that burning it altered the pH and thus caused it to grow better, but no, it didn't. There were actually a couple other elements that kicked into gear and really pushed this stuff hard. Little things like this, really, we have to pay attention to, is really what we want to see happening so that our fields can grow thicker, not thinner. Whew. All right, now I gotta go Ted. All right, show me. Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Aaron, will you turn off my water? Go turn off my water quick. Pull the hose out and turn it off. Man, it's a good thing I came back. Thank you. You gotta pull the hose out too. Pull the hose out. Otherwise it'll drain it. Thank you. You're gonna get a new friend. Hopefully he will never attack you. All right, so this is Aaron's little pet, Mr. Turtle. Now, Aaron found Mr. Turtle last fall. I think it was November, didn't you?
That's his name?
Aaron never named him, so that's just what I call him, was Mr. Turtle. So Aaron found him, and it was gonna get cold and obviously snowy, so we decided to keep him in an aquarium. And Mr. Turtle has had several friends over the last year. He had another turtle friend, and a frog friend, a crayfish friend, and...
Oh, look, a tractor.
Oh yeah. And he had 2 snail friends, and they all died. He was the only survivor.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was my...
He was the only one that ate food. But
Yeah.
look, a tractor.
Nobody else wanted to eat food. Mr. Crayfish ate food, but I don't know why he never came through. Whew.
Look, it's a tractor with 2 tires.
That is.
And everyone.
Well, weeds have taken over the pond.
Yeah. Hybrid cattails. You gonna hold him? All right, just be careful. You got him? All right, so here's the horse pond, and as much as I don't like snapping turtles in the pond, Mr. Turtle's a friend, and he's actually been very friendly. He would always come up to me. He'd always get excited when I would come up to feed him, so we're gonna put him over here in the mud. We put some epoxy on his shell, so if we ever found him again, we'd know. I got it. Ready? Okay.
Are you gonna pick him up?
You gonna pick him up and put him right there? Ready? Yep. Just like that. He's been eating good. There you go.
Bye-bye, little turtle.
He's like, this is great.
He's like, what do I do now? He used to like run across the carpet. Now he's like, wait a minute.
I have to put him closer to the water.
right, Aaron, why don't you try picking him up and putting him over there in that little mud area?
Okay.
I'm sure he is scared, but yep, right there. In the water, just in the mud's fine. There you go. There we go. So that way he can decide if he wants to burrow into the mud or go off into the water.
He's probably gonna wash the Pixie off.
No, that
He
stuff's
likes it.
permanent.
What? What is he doing?
Burrowing into the mud. Trying to.
He's drawn. He can see little air bubbles.
I know.
He's drawn. Suzanne. Oh, you better run!
Eric, it kind of looks like your pants are a thong.
Huh?
Your pants look like a thong from the back.
There's a big pile of poop I forgot to pick up.
I didn't grab all the little tiny ones.
No, there's a huge pile of it right here.
Well, that's already growing grass.
Ew!
And that is that with Mr. Turtle. Maybe someday we'll see him again.
Much bigger.
Or maybe not.
Ew! 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 Your family's weird.
Coming your way.
Brad? Don't you dare! I just took a shower today. Shower? No!
Well, at least they're old and crusty, but... Alright, back to work. Oh, Bob Dad's shoe has dog poop on it, too. Oh, and you're probably wondering what this is. No, sadly, this is not the hay that we put up on first cutting. So stay tuned to figure out exactly where this hay came from and why it's behind me. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you once again. And again, hit the subscribe button if you have not.